Welcome to our immigration briefing program. Today, we've got some intriguing stories lined up for you. First up, we'll explore how paying with cash or using specific card options can help you avoid those pesky surcharges. Next, we'll dive into Vice President Kamala Harris's stance on key issues like abortion and immigration, especially as she faces increased scrutiny as a potential presidential candidate. Lastly, we'll take you to Toronto's Rockcliffe-Smythe neighborhood, where residents are still reeling from repeated floods and demanding immediate action from the city. Please stay tuned for detailed coverage of these stories. Australian Broadcasting Corporation, have you noticed the extra charges when you pay with a card for your coffee or bills? These surcharges, although small, can accumulate significantly over time. In Australia, unlike the UK and EU, card surcharges are legal, and many small retailers and cafes are increasingly adding these costs. To avoid these surcharges, paying in cash is a straightforward solution. For instance, avoiding a 1% surcharge on a $1,000 purchase saves you $10. Alternatively, using a dual network debit card and opting for the EFTPOS system instead of Visa MasterCard can reduce or eliminate these fees. The Reserve Bank of Australia is also working on a system called Least Cost Routing, LCR, to process payments using the lowest cost network by default. While businesses must disclose surcharges clearly, if you encounter excessive surcharges, you can report them to the ACCC. New York Times, Vice President Kamala Harris, a potential candidate for the Democratic ticket, has a well-documented stance on key issues. On abortion, she supports national legislation to protect abortion rights, similar to Roe v. Wade before it was overturned in 2022. Harris has been a vocal advocate for abortion rights, even visiting an abortion clinic officially as vice president. Her legislative efforts include co-sponsoring bills to ban state-level restrictions on abortions. During her 2019 presidential campaign, she proposed that states with a history of restricting abortion rights should require federal approval for new abortion laws. This proposal, however, is now unfeasible following the Supreme Court's decision to overturn Roe. The Toronto Star, in Toronto's Rockcliffe-Smythe neighborhood, residents like Matt Diorio and Paula Ferrante are grappling with severe flooding issues, with their basement recently inundated with sewage from a storm. This marks the third flood in 7 years for many in the area, leading to costly repairs and significant frustration. Despite installing preventative measures like backwater valves, residents' basements continue to flood, underscoring the area's vulnerability. The city has labeled Rockcliffe-Smythe as the most flood-prone area in the region, facing both riverine flooding and sewer issues. While the city has taken steps like installing flood gauges and restoring channels, comprehensive solutions are still years away, leaving residents like Franco Ruffolo and Eric Swanson feeling neglected and overwhelmed by recurring floods and inadequate infrastructure improvements. BBC, car washes and parts of the beauty sector will be the focus of intensified immigration enforcement this summer, as announced by Home Secretary Yvette Cooper. Writing in The Sun on Sunday, Cooper revealed that officials had been reassigned to a returns and enforcement program targeting businesses suspected of employing illegal workers. Shocked to discover that 1,000 civil servants had been working on a plan to send migrants to Rwanda, Cooper emphasized the need for a properly controlled and managed asylum system. Labour, prioritizing border security, has already established the Border Security Command as promised in its manifesto. Prime Minister Keir Starmer faced criticism for scrapping the Rwanda scheme, but Cooper insists that tackling small boats and illegal migration requires long-term commitment and hard work. This year, over 15,489 people have crossed the channel in small boats, with fatal incidents continuing to occur. Telegraph, the Henley Index reveals that UK citizens can travel visa-free to 192 countries, placing their passport fourth globally. However, the default advice of no visa required can be misleading. For instance, travelers might need special permission to connect flights in Miami or vacation in Sri Lanka. Visa requirements vary, with some granted on arrival and others requiring extensive paperwork, interviews, and fees. Visa-free travel often involves permits and pre-entry forms. Travelers should consult gov.uk foreign travel advice for accurate information and be cautious of unofficial operators. Costs and application processes differ by country, with some nations issuing visas on arrival and others demanding pre-approval. Visa agencies can assist but offer no guarantees. Common reasons for visa rejection include errors in application forms and insufficient documentation. If a visa is needed, it is advisable to secure it before booking travel arrangements to avoid complications. Associated Press, in Tucson, Arizona, migrants are now required to proactively express their fear of deportation to Border Patrol agents, a significant shift from the previous practice since 1997. This change, part of President Biden's temporary asylum suspension, is communicated through posters and videos at holding facilities. Critics call it the shout test, arguing it places undue burden on migrants, who may not understand the need to vocalize their fears. Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas insists that agents are trained to identify signs of distress. Despite this, immigration advocates report cases where migrants expressing fear were overlooked and deported. Legal assistance is limited, with migrants given only 4 hours to contact attorneys, often during times when legal services are unavailable. The policy has led to a significant drop in border arrests, but migrants face higher standards for screening and limited opportunities to prepare their cases, raising concerns about the fairness and effectiveness of the new system. Telegraph. India anticipates that the Labour government in the UK will be more amenable to granting visas for Indian nurses and IT workers compared to the previous Conservative administration. Trade negotiations between the UK and India, which began over 2 years ago, were paused in March due to the impending Indian elections. David Lammy, the Foreign Secretary, is set to visit India soon to discuss resuming these talks. India has consistently requested more visas for various professionals as part of a free trade agreement with the UK. According to a source from New Delhi, India hopes to pick up the negotiations from where they were left off, aiming to resolve outstanding issues. The previous discussions had reached an advanced stage but were hindered by disagreements over tax breaks for Scotch whisky and the ability for migrants to reclaim payments like national insurance contributions. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi recently congratulated Sir Keir Starmer on his election victory, expressing optimism for a strengthened partnership. Another topic likely to be addressed during Lammy's visit is the UK-based activities of the Khalistan movement, which has previously led to violent incidents. Deutsche Welle. The bicentennial of German immigration to Brazil marks a significant chapter in the history of the southern part of the country. On July 25, 1824, 39 German emigrants arrived in São Leopoldo, establishing a colony that would grow over the next 200 years. DW reporter Guilherme Becker, whose ancestors were among those emigrants, embarks on a personal journey to uncover the reasons behind this mass migration. He discovers that the Brazilian government encouraged immigration to fill the labor void left by the abolition of slavery. This migration had profound effects on the Afro-Brazilian population, impacts that persist today. Guilherme visits a former immigrant hostel in São Paulo, now a museum, where the hopes and traumas of these early settlers are still palpable. He also explores the Museu Visconde de São Leopoldo, which houses artifacts from these immigrants, though it was recently damaged by flooding. In Pomerode, Santa Catarina, he meets descendants who have preserved their ancestors' culture and language for 2 centuries. CBC. A Winnipeg man, Abdi Hassan Ali, charged with smuggling 8 foreign nationals into Canada, had been previously stopped near the Emerson border crossing twice, according to recent court documents. The Director of Criminal Property Forfeiture in Manitoba has filed a claim seeking the forfeiture of Ali's van and cash found on him. Ali was arrested after a traffic stop in February, where police found him with 7 people from Chad and 1 from Mali. The court documents reveal that these individuals paid thousands of dollars for their journey from North Africa to Canada. Ali had been stopped near the border in October 2023 and January 2024 but was not arrested at those times. On February 22, police stopped Ali again for speeding, initially letting him go before realizing his previous arrest. Upon restopping the van, Ali claimed he picked up the passengers in Blumenort, but they later revealed they had been dropped off at the U.S. border. The passengers paid between $9,000 and $12,000 each for the journey. Ali faces charges under the Immigration and Refugee Protection Act, and authorities are seeking to seize his van and the cash found in his sock, alleging they were obtained through human smuggling. Deutsche Welle, swimmer Ala Masso, who fled Syria in 2015, has found a new home in Germany and is preparing for the Paris Olympics. Masso's journey from war-torn Aleppo to representing the Olympic refugee team highlights the struggles and resilience of immigrants. Despite losing crucial training years due to the civil war, Masso remains optimistic about his future and the potential for immigrants to achieve their goals and integrate into new societies. He emphasizes the importance of cultural integration and workshops for refugees to better adapt to their new environments. Amid rising anti-immigrant sentiment in Germany, Masso plans to apply for German citizenship and is hopeful about competing for his adopted country in the future. Guardian. In November 2016, Donald Trump's meeting with Silicon Valley elites marked a turning point for tech entrepreneurs like Peter Thiel, who had bet early on Trump's political success. Recently, the tech world has seen significant figures like Elon Musk, Mark Andreessen, and Ben Horowitz aligning with Trump, signaling a shift towards a new era of tech oligarchy. Thiel's influence is evident in Trump's choice of J.D. Vance as his VP, a move that underscores the merging of political and commercial interests reminiscent of Russian oligarchy. The tech elite's support for Trump is driven by a desire for deregulation and a pro-business environment, with Thiel poised to benefit greatly from potential upheavals in the federal administration. The Globe and Mail: the OPEC oil crisis of 1973 unexpectedly catalyzed mass migration by reshaping the global economy and geopolitics. The quadrupling of oil prices led to a permanent reduction in economic growth in the West and a surge in inflation, prompting companies to dismantle unions and outsource jobs, which in turn created a demand for low-skilled migrant labor. The geopolitical fallout, including the Iranian Revolution and the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan, further fueled migration by displacing millions. Today, sectors like agriculture, construction, and domestic labor heavily rely on low-paid migrants, a structural feature of global capitalism that is unlikely to change without fundamental economic reforms. The Toronto Star. In the 1970s, my parents embarked on an ambitious project, building a cottage from scratch on a plot of land by Lake Mazenau, north of Belleville. Our family spent every summer there, transforming a bare plot into a cozy retreat through sheer determination and hard work. My brother and I, mere children at the time, contributed by clearing land and painting walls. These summers were filled with quintessential outdoor activities, roasting marshmallows, feeding chipmunks, and learning survival skills like swimming and fire building. One memorable night, my brother and I learned the hard way not to heat a can of beans in a fire without opening it first, as it exploded, causing a stir among the lake's residents. Decades later, the cottage was sold, but the experiences and lessons from those summers stayed with me, shaping my love for the outdoors and my commitment to sharing these experiences with my own son. The Fresh Air Fund, which helps kids experience the great outdoors, embodies the spirit of those formative summers, offering invaluable lessons and memories to children who might not otherwise have such opportunities. New York Times. In Saint-Denis, a gritty suburb east of Paris, a once-abandoned warehouse now serves as a makeshift home for 60 adults and children, including Mariam Komara, an undocumented immigrant from the Ivory Coast. The building, with its single shower and pervasive stench of damp clothes, is a stark representation of the housing crisis exacerbated by the upcoming Paris Olympics. Saint-Denis, poised to become the heart of the Olympic Village, is also home to a significant immigrant population, with roughly one-third of its 1.6 million residents hailing from other countries. This influx has strained local resources and housing, creating a tense backdrop as the government grapples with accommodating both the Olympic influx and the existing population. Mariam, preparing for a court battle to stay in her current home, highlights the precariousness of life for many residents. As the Olympics approach, the tension between the need for development and the rights of the existing community becomes ever more pronounced, raising questions about the future of this diverse and densely populated area. CBC. After enduring 6 harrowing months in war-torn Gaza, Mohammed and Ghadir al-Raiz, along with their 5 children, have finally found refuge in Ottawa, thanks to an extended family visa. Now living with Mohammed's sister in Nepean, the family recounted their terrifying ordeal through Mohammed's niece, Lana, who translated for them. They described a life constantly on the brink of death, rationing food, water, and living in a tent while bombs fell around them. The family eventually escaped to Cairo, spending their life savings to cross the Rafah border. Their eldest daughter, who has a disability, faced severe medical challenges as hospitals were bombed and resources dwindled. The visa program, launched by the Canadian government, has allowed them a 3-year stay, but they still face hurdles, including securing medical care for their daughter. Despite the challenges, the family is relieved to be in Canada, where their children can sleep peacefully without the fear of bombings. They hope to enroll the children in school and secure a work visa for Mohammed, aiming to rebuild their lives from the ground up. Mohammed's sister, Ola, remains concerned for those still in Gaza, urging the Canadian government to take more action to end the conflict and support those fleeing the devastation. Thank you for tuning in. The content above showcases the latest briefing reports and analytical synopses, thoughtfully curated by the 6Do team. These insights stem from a wide array of reputable media outlets, think tanks, government sources, and specialized experts worldwide. We encourage you to explore these sources for a comprehensive perspective. Keep in mind that while the content may not always align with the official standpoint of 6Do Brief, it's not meant to be taken as absolute directives for decision-making. Comprising seasoned media professionals, learned scholars, and accomplished scientists, the 6Do team embodies a trailblazing, fully independent media entity. To customize 6Do Brief to meet your professional needs, you have the option to subscribe to a diverse array of briefings on our website, 6dobrief.com. Regardless of your location, you can conveniently receive 6Do Brief via email.
Got a book so big and bright, open it and take a flight. Learn about the stars and see, everything is here for me. Flip the pages one by one, knowledge under the sun. From dinosaurs to galaxies, a world of endless mysteries. Encyclopedia, yay! Facts and fun all day. From A to Z, let's see. Curious minds run free. Jump into the pages deep, secrets that you want to keep. Time will fly and you will find magic lies in every line. Animals and history, science full of mystery. Gotta read and gotta know, watch our minds all start to grow. Encyclopedia, yay! Facts and fun all day. From A to Z, let's see. Curious minds run free, yeah. Jump into the pages deep, secrets that you want to keep. Time will fly and you will find magic lies in every line. To run free line, every line's run free. Animals and history, science full of mystery.